But considering the vital importance of certain prerequisites, I think it is certainly good, even necessary, to remind ourselves of them again and again, because these are ideas that bear repeating. In his lecture on work and its secret, Swami Vivekananda says, "One of the greatest lessons I have learned in my life is to pay as much attention to the means as to its end. All the secret of success is there, to pay as much attention to the means as to the end. Our great defect in life is that we are so much drawn to the ideal. The goal is so much more enchanting, so much more alluring, so much bigger on our mental horizon that we altogether lose sight of the details. But whenever failure comes," Swamiji says, "but whenever failure comes, if we analyze it critically, in 99% of cases, we will find that it was because we did not pay attention to the means. Proper attention to the strengthening of the means is what we need. With the means all right, the end must come. If we take care of the cause, the effect will take care of itself. The realization of the ideal is the effect, the means are the cause. Therefore, attention to the means is the great secret of life." Unquote. So, what are those means or conditions? The first fundamental condition is faith. Faith in the spiritual ideal and faith in our capacity to realize that ideal. As we heard more than once in the afternoon, even before the highest realization dawns upon us, we can have a very clear and strong faith in the divine. Because this idea is embedded in the depths of our being. The very first condition of spiritual life is the awakening of this faith in us. Our soul is a reflection of the divine, and this soul reflects the light even when we are not able to see the light itself. In fact, whenever we try to think of the soul, the spiritual consciousness within, whenever we try to think of it, it may have somehow gotten mixed up with our thoughts, with our physical consciousness. But what we are actually making is an inquiry into the nature of ultimate reality, the ultimate reality itself. But here, doubt is a very great danger and can obstruct all spiritual progress. It comes to all of us sometime or other. Doubt means lack of faith in the divine and lack of faith in oneself. And it can't be dispelled completely until realization is attained. Still, we should never allow ourselves to be overpowered by doubt or waver in our determination to progress in spiritual life. We should have the ideal fixed in our minds that pleasure, enjoyment is not the goal of human life, whether here or hereafter. Our only goal is God realization. So long as there is in us a hankering for pleasure or enjoyment, we can never attain the goal. Enjoyment, Maharaj pointed out this in his morning session, in the talk in his morning session. Enjoyment is, after all, a cheap thing. This every soul will realize sooner or later. So now and then, we should ask ourselves whether it is really God that we want or something else. If it is really God, we can be sure that He will come to us, because God always comes to the devotee who seeks Him and Him alone. As Sri Ramakrishna said, if the devotee moves towards God one step, God comes towards him or her 10 steps. In this, we have to have faith. The second vital question is the ability to separate the essentials from the non-essentials.
Oh, be closer to
Oh.
Oh, there's an echo.
Oh, and then it is too close.
I don't know. Maybe this has to be turned off, this one.
Too far?
Too far.
If we mistake the non-essentials of religion for spirituality, for real spirituality, and get lost in them, we won't be able to make any progress. In fact, this is the fate of the so-called orthodox people, or the so-called learned. Despite their learning, despite their strict observance of all religious codes, they remain where they are. They have just missed the mark. Spirituality is something different from and much more than mere learning, book knowledge. Shankaracharya writes in one of his grand Upanishadic commentaries, "Let the aspirant study as best as they can, master the subjects, but after having becoming a scholar, let them renounce desires and try to live upon the strength that comes from knowledge." Sri Ramakrishna also said, "What will a Pandit's scholarship profit him if he doesn't think of God and has no discrimination and renunciation? Of what use is erudition if the mind dwells on worldly things? The Pandit has no doubt studied many books and scriptures. He may rattle off their texts, or he may even have written books, but if he is attached to pleasure, if he thinks of money and honor as the essential things, will you call him a Pandit? How can a man be a Pandit if his mind doesn't dwell on God?" So, after knowing the essentials of spiritual life and having formed a clear conception of the ideal, we should get down to hard practice. If you ask me, there is no need to listen to too many lectures or read too many books. That only creates disturbance and trouble. This is what Sri Ramakrishna himself said. That is why Buddha and also St. Francis of Assisi, they made it their mission in life to tell people to give up the externals of religion and to live a life of spirituality, a life of purity, a life of love of God, mind control, spiritual discipline, meditation, Without these, nobody can expect to become spiritual or make any progress. But now, this involves great struggle. The struggle to go beyond the thought world that we have been building up all our lives. This hard work, this is the third main requirement. This is what is generally known as self-effort. Most people are unwilling to abandon it. To be done, they're just too weak or too lazy to work against their own minds. They want everything to be done for them by their spiritual teachers. But unfortunately, there is no vicarious salvation. There is no vicarious salvation without any self-effort on the part of the spiritual aspirant. Anyhow, I won't say much on this because we'll be hearing Maharaj say more about this aspect of spiritual life, self-effort. But this conscious struggle brings about a revision of our ideas about ourselves and others. This is one thing that self-effort in spiritual discipline brings about. First of all, we need to do some rethinking about our relationships. Spiritual life must bring about a change of outlook on the world. That is the fourth essential condition. I'll try to make I'll try to compress things. Those who are bound by family ties, they should try to sublimate their existing relationships. If our relatives and friends don't understand our attitude or don't like it, there is no reason why we should dance according to their tune. If there is no mutual agreement, if there is no appreciation at all of our spiritual life, we have to be bold enough, depend on God, and take a unilateral decision in the matter. We must learn to establish relationships with others only through the divine. Once we accept the spiritual ideal, we must demonstrate it in our outlook, in our attitudes and relationships. There are two dangers that we have to avoid in spiritual life. One is to love others with ordinary human love and falsely call it spiritual. The other is to go to the other extreme and to become insensitive, even to the right feelings, and become extremely selfish. Both are harmful to spiritual life. To love and serve others in the proper way, we have to first try to reflect the divine in our own lives. If we are successful there, then even silence will be more effective than outward emotional expressions. It is possible to be loving, kind, and considerate towards others without getting attached to them. Everything depends upon our change of attitude towards ourselves. So spiritual life should bring about a change of our outlook on both God and the world, but this is only possible when it brings about a change of our outlook on ourselves first. This is the most important thing to know in spiritual life. Unless we start regarding ourselves as the spirit, the soul, separate from the body and the mind, we haven't even begun spiritual life. Our old images about ourselves must be replaced by a new self-image. This change of outlook on oneself is what distinguishes a true spiritual aspirant from the average so-called religious people. At first, when this change starts to take place, as I said, we may not have a clear idea of what the soul, what the self really is, what the word Atman means. But whatever our conception, it is enough if we think about it as something separate, distinct from the body and the mind, and identify ourselves with it. So, one, faith in our spiritual ideal and faith in our own capacity to actualize that ideal. Two, the ability to separate the essentials of spiritual life from the non-essentials. And three, the willingness to work hard to do that separation, the willingness, which is called self-effort. And four, the change of attitude towards oneself, the world, and God. To my mind, these are four of several other main conditions of spiritual life. Thank you.
As Swamiji was saying, I will continue with this idea of self-effort, Purushakara. This is something that is emphasized tremendously by Swamiji. And Sri Ramakrishna also, although some doubt sometimes comes into our minds when we read so much about this lack of free will that we may have, that things are determined for us, that the Sharanagati, that surrender is the highest goal, that we're bound by our own personality. We read so many things, and actually sayings of Sri Ramakrishna in Gita, that we act according to our own nature, then what good will self-restraint do? So many things that we get, Thakur always singing, Sokali Tomariyacha, that everything is your will, mother. I do as you make me do. Where is free will? If there's no free will, where is self-effort? Yeah. So these doubts come into the mind sometime, and we have to look at both sides of the story. And when we look at the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, we see equally, if not more, he emphasizes this self-effort, Purushakara. And very often he talks about this idea of grit and determination. Kubrokchai. He likes this phrase, and he gives so many examples. The farmer who's afraid of the family will starve to death if he doesn't bring water to the field. I will work day and night, and no matter what, he won't stop. So many different examples. And when we look at the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, we have to understand that when he says that what is the ultimate truth and understanding, that I am not the agent of action. Akarta, God alone is the karta. But this is the final goal. Then, and this Shokali Tomariyacha, who can say, I act as you make me act? Only a God-realized soul can say that. Otherwise, we end up like Duryodhana. It's very easy to say that, I act as you make me act, dwelling within my heart. It can either be the statement of the highest truth or the greatest hypocrisy. Yeah. So we have to understand very carefully that when Sri Ramakrishna says that, ultimately everything is Mother's will, but at the same time, he'll say that this ego will not go away. He said you can analyze 1,000 times. We can peel the onion over and over again and find that there's nothing inside, but Very next moment, this feeling of I comes back, this ego comes back. So he says, let that rascal remain as the servant of God. And this attitude of the servant of God means that I am responsible, that I'll do it in the name of the master. I won't have any selfish motive for anything, but I have to feel that responsibility, and everything is in my hands. Swamiji says, when we're acting, feel that everything is in our hands. When it comes to the result, everything is in God's hands. Yeah. So this idea of self-effort is essential in spiritual life. Maharaj was saying, otherwise it's tamas. And we have to be very careful. Now, the Sharanagati, of course, is a very high goal, a very high spiritual path. It may be the best spiritual path for some. Now, Sri Ramakrishna will talk about the attitude of the baby monkey and the attitude of the baby kitten. That the baby monkey, if you've ever been to the zoo, you'll see that the baby monkey will grab hold of the bottom part from the bottom of the mother monkey, wherever the mother monkey jumps, it has to hold on for dear life, otherwise it'll fall. Whereas the kitten doesn't do anything, just goes mew mew, and the mother cat comes and grabs it and takes it there. So yeah, this theoretically, if we can have that real Sharanagati, then this is a very high ideal. But for most of us, we can't pretend that we have that real reliance on God, because usually that reliance on God comes when it's something that we don't really want. That Thakur says something, yeah, we say everything is God's will, and I do as you make me do, and whatever comes is okay. But when it comes to enjoyment and things that we want, we'll put the greatest effort possible for it. Then it comes to spiritual life, everything is in the hands of Mother. Yeah, why should I do anything? Let her grab me, put me from place to place like the kitten. Yeah, so we have to make sure that there's no hypocrisy here. Sometimes we get this impression that first Purushakara, then Sharanagati. So we have the illustration of the bird that falls asleep on the mast of the ship. These are very, very helpful illustrations, and sometimes we have to look at all aspects of these things. As the bird falls asleep, the ship goes out to sea. When the bird wakes up, it doesn't know what direction to fly, only sees the ocean everywhere. The bird has to fly as far as it can in one direction until it's exhausted. Now, this is the important part. We don't pay attention sometimes. And it knows that unless it starts going back, it'll die. It'll be exhausted and will drown. So it goes as far as it can, realizing that just has enough strength to get back. Then it will rest and go in every direction. Only after exhausting all of the possible energy and everything can it take refuge in the mast of the ship. So this Sharanagati, partly it's a question of what our nature is. For some people, it's a natural thing. If we like this, what Thakur calls it, Shontabhav, we think of ourselves as a child of God, then it's more natural. But Sri Ramakrishna, somehow, he emphasizes this dasya bhava. He'll say that this looking upon God or Mother is a very pure attitude. But for most of us, he says, if this ego is there, then let that rascal remain as the servant of God. So this feeling that we have to take responsibility for our actions. Forget about this free will business. Yeah, this is highly theoretical, and at the end of we may say at the end, now I see it was all Mother's will, but forget about that. At this stage of our spiritual life, we have to feel that it depends on us and our effort and our longing, and how much spiritual practice we're willing to do. So this is very important. In Gita, as I was saying, we see both sides of this, that we're slaves to our own personality. Nigraha kim karishyati. Yeah. What good will self-restraint do? Then on the other hand, everything is self-restraint. Who is the happy person? Who is the yogi? The person who can withstand the pull of the senses, of the passions and everything, who can withstand it. And that means say no. So the willpower, everything is telling us, Yeah, enjoy the world. Everything is pushing us in one direction. We can say, that's my nature. Yeah, and then just give up. But Swamiji says we have to fight nature. That we can't simply say that, I know that I have my samskaras, this is my nature, what can I do? This is a type of really cowardice in spiritual life. So Swamiji was the great apostle of this Sharanagati. So what I want to do, because I know there are a lot of questions, is I want to read some quotes from Swamiji, because they're the most inspiring. These are the most inspiring things when he talks about this determination and strength and willpower. Brave, bold men, these are what we want. What you want is vigor in the blood, strength in the nerves, iron muscles and nerves of steel, not softening, namby-pamby ideas. Avoid all these. Avoid all mystery. God is not to be reached by the weak. Never be weak. You have infinite strength within you. How else will you conquer anything? How else will you come to God? If you want to be great materially, believe that you are so. I may be a little bubble, and you may be a wave mountain high. But know that for both of us, the infinite ocean is the background. The infinite Brahman is our magazine of power and strength, and we can draw as much as we like, both of us, I the bubble, and you the mountain high wave. Believe, therefore, in yourselves. It is feeling that is the life, the strength, the vitality, without which no amount of intellectual activity can reach God. Infinite strength is religion and God. Know that every time you feel weak, you not only hurt yourself, but also the cause. Infinite faith and strength are the only conditions of success. Let it ring day and night in your mind like a song, and at the point of death, declare, I am He. That is the truth. The infinite strength of the world is yours. Say, this misery that I am suffering is of my own doing, and that very thing proves that it will have to be undone by me alone. That which I created, I can demolish. That which is created by someone else, I shall never be able to destroy. Therefore, stand up, be bold, be strong. Take the whole responsibility on your shoulders and know that you are the creators of your own destiny. All the strength and succor you want is within ourselves. Stand up, be bold, be strong. Take the whole responsibility on your... I read that one. Okay. Then let me just finish. Strength is the sign of vigor, the sign of life, the sign of hope, the sign of health, and the sign of everything that is good. As long as the body lives, there must be strength in the body, strength in the mind, strength in the hand. Strength. Strength is that what we want so much in this life. For what we call sin and sorrow have all one cause, and that is our weakness. So this is Swamiji, and Sri Ramakrishna also. He says, don't keep telling yourself, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, I'm bound, I'm a sinner. You'll remain like that. I say, I'm free, I'm perfect, and then we'll realize that. So this is the tremendous attitude that people may say, well, it's ego. It is ego, but this is that ripe ego. And strengthen that ego, that in the name of God, that we can do anything. As a servant of Sri Ramakrishna, we can smash the stars to atoms, unhinge the universe. The beautiful Sanskrit verse he wrote, don't you know who we are? We are the servants of Sri Ramakrishna. Okay, so now we have a lot of questions here we can go to. Oh boy. Could you please clarify or relate the words jiva, karana, and sukshma sharira, and linga sharira? Okay. So, jiva we saw. Jiva is really the Atman who's stuck in the chariot. The Atman who feels some connection, real or imagined, with the body, mind, and the senses. So this is the jiva. Karana sharir and sukshma sharir. We have the theory of the 5 koshas and the theory of the three bodies. They fit perfectly if you put 3 into 1. So this is the, it doesn't mention, but Sthula Sharir is the physical body. Sukshma Sharir will be the mind, the senses, the intellect, and everything. Karana Sharir will be the subconscious, we can say, equivalent to the Anandamaya Kosha. Linga Sharir and Sukshma Sharir are the same thing. There's 2 different terms for that. Your turn, Maharaj.
In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna says, people cannot think that they can help others. That is God's work, not ours. Today we talked about the importance of helping others. Is that a contradiction? Of course not. Because for one thing, Swamiji says, by helping others, you're only helping yourself. We never should go about helping others. It is safer and better for us to serve others. I think that's the shortest answer. Yeah, we serve whenever we can, wherever we can. So, if some being needs help, even if it takes the form of our service, it is God's power that is helping that being through us.
Yeah, I think the main message we should take away from this is we shouldn't feel proud. If we do anything that's helpful to others, we should feel grateful. This is what Thakur says, that we had that opportunity to do worship of the living God. Not that we can't be of some service, that we're not going to change the world, but we know, I think all of us know in our lifetimes, there are people who have helped us, and materially or spiritually or any other way, and we're grateful for that. So we know it is possible. We're not going to change the world, the curly tail, but it's possible to do something that will be of service to others. But as Maharaj said, if we can do it as service, as worship, then this is the highest attitude. It'll take away that feeling of pride. We should feel grateful that we can be of some service to other people.
But Maharaj, there's also an extension to that same question. Like Thakur said, that by building bridges or making hospitals, it's not going to do you any good. But that is also service. They are serving others and making those. But Thakur said that's not very, it's okay you are doing it, but...
No, everything has to be understood in its proper context.
Yeah, you can remember, I think it was Mani Malik. Who was it? One of them, Thakur said, you have a lot of money, why not build it?
Shambhu.
No, not Shambhu, it was somebody else. So he said, why not say Rakal's village that there's... Yeah. Who was it? Mani Malik. Anyhow, he said, you have some money now, why not build a well for them or something? Yeah, so Thakur, yeah. How many times he said, say with Surendra, that he tells lies in the office, why do he eat his food? Because he's so charitable and so generous and does so many things for other people. And he says those who only care about themselves, don't care about helping other people, he said they're not even human beings. Manush hoy, manush noy. He said they may look like human beings, but those who have no compassion, he says it's like when water comes into the field, that there's some farmers, they'll make little holes in places, otherwise the water is so strong. We want to keep all of the water, it'll break the walls of the side, none of it will get to the field. Those who let some of it leak out, and the others, then they'll get water to their field, they'll help the other field also, and it'll be better for everything. So he says if you have money, you have to give in charity. that you have to be generous and try to help others. So we have to look at that side also. But he didn't want people to be like, let's say the Brahmo Samaj, everything was the social service, or social reform, we should say. He wanted to make sure that the main goal of life is God realization, but not to turn our backs on other people. He was saying with Shambhu Malik at the end, yeah, that when you're deathbed, you should be thinking of God, not so much thinking. He said, will you ask for dispensaries and things? That's a different story. Anyhow, so let's go to the next one. Oh. It was said that we may dislike someone a little, but not hate anyone. I wonder if there should be some exception. For example, how can you not hate Hitler? In modern day, there are also some world leaders who may also fit that position. Yeah. I'll tell the story about my grandmother. I won't tell all of the details. She was very funny. That there were some people who were in a restaurant, and they're very loud and obnoxious and everything. And so my grandmother was talking about it, and then she said, it's not that I hate them, I just can't stand them. Yeah, so yeah, of course we're human beings. This is the point, that we're human beings and we have human emotions and everything, but we shouldn't let it poison us. So the hatred is a very poisonous thing, and anger is a very poisonous thing. We can recognize that there's some people that their character and what they stand for is the opposite of what we believe in and stand for and everything. We can also feel sorry for people like that. Yeah, or at least have a charitable attitude toward the people that they grew up in this environment and that there are reasons why they act like that and feel like that and everything. So to try not to judge, this is the main thing. To try not to judge. Be like Holy Mother, or like the saint and the scorpion. Yeah, this is the nature of the scorpion to sting. Why should I change my nature?
Yeah, because people are usually satisfied with being hateful. They won't do anything to change a Hitler.
No, there can be some joy in people, yeah. And some joy in getting angry. Yeah, it's a very Rajasic type of thing. Yeah, Rajasic joy, but yeah.
There's a little Hitler inside that recognizes the one.
Yeah.
Earlier today, it was told that everyone should follow Dharma, and that the Dharma of a householder is to take care of his or her family. Then how do you justify Gautama leaving his family in quest of enlightenment? Even if his wife and kid had financial wherewithal, it would have been so devastating emotionally. In Sri Ramakrishna's life and teachings, one thing is very clear, that the only true dharma of a human being is God realization or self-realization. If somebody leaves home, even in dire poverty, but he is burning with the spirit of vairagya, and he is not a hypocrite, then I think that is justified. It's not a question of justification. It's a matter of sincerity. Yes, I feel the call of monastic life, and in Buddha's case, he was not an ordinary monk. He came for the redemption of the world, and these people are conscious of that. So, if by forsaking one's own family, a person can redeem the world itself, why not?
But Swamiji, you cannot quit in the middle of the game. You've got the cards. I mean, if he's already married, he already had the cards served in his hands. You can't just change a game, just walk off like I'm not going to play anymore.
No, but the thing is, yeah, that, yeah,
He should have married.
Is it okay if I?
yes, of course.
He, after he became enlightened, he returned home and
Too late.
taught his family, and his wife became a Buddhist nun, and his son became a Buddhist monk, and they all got nirvana. I mean, according to, you have to, I mean, that's the whole story.
Yeah, in the name of fulfilling our dharma, we sink deeper in worldliness, with no hope of coming out.
Swamiji, the key word you mentioned is the lack of, like, he was really sincere, because Sri Ramakrishna took some of the task in the gospel. Like when that person left a whole group of kids with the daughter-in-law, and then went to that state with Ramakrishna. So I think the sincerity part.
Yeah, we see both sides. Say Vijay Krishna Goswami, he was married, had a family, and yet Thakur encouraged him. And then others, some others, they wanted, he said, oh, who's going to look after your children? Somebody else from the neighborhood and everything. So it depends on the sincerity and everything.
Yes, when M asks, what if one's wife stands in the way of my spiritual ideal, then Sri Ramakrishna clearly says, then give up that wife. Such a wife is an ungodly wife. So, as human beings, what is our parama dharma? If we are true to that, then there is something in the cosmic arrangement that the ones that we have left behind will be compensated for.
Yeah, and Thakur says that children and others, that they'll also become spiritual through the sincerity of the husband, or vice versa.
But at the same time, these are very strong words from Virajanandaji. He is addressing these words to sadhus. He says, always remember that your parents have shed jugfuls of tears when you left them. And having left them, you enter the monastery and live an easy life. Remember that the tears that they shed for you will wipe out all your good karma. This is also there. It's a serious thing.
Yeah.
We talked forgiveness. We mentioned discernment. In spiritual life, when do we fight? Okay. Swamiji makes a distinction. He says that for the sannyasi, then turn the other cheek. He said for the householder to stand up for your rights. That if it's a question of dharma, if it's a question of protecting the family and everything, that you have to fight. And Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, of course, try not to inject your poison. If you can do it by hissing, it's better. Yeah. Try not to inject your poison, but if you can, but you have to, people have to protect themselves. Yeah. So it's a delicate balance. These are always a difficult questions. To what extent do we accept things? To what extent do we fight? To what extent do we quit the job and do something else? Or, fight the employer? These are all the difficult questions.
It should be for the principle, not for the person.
Yes.
It should be personal.
Yeah. So, we just read, who did we were reading, that even for the householder, this holding on to truth is something that's very, very important. Yeah. Even if it means loss of a job sometimes. It even depends what our ultimate goal in life is. I just did that one.
In the morning session, Swamiji told us to abide by whatever the Guru instructs. in the modern world, there are many gurus who are living mainly for themselves. Abiding by their instructions won't be good all the time in such cases. What do people do? Of course, Sri Ramakrishna said the guru and the disciple have to test one another by day and by night. If somebody just calling oneself a guru doesn't make the person a guru. That's all. There is a common sense. And there's one more question in this. No, once you have chosen a guru, then that is a different matter.
Yes.
Yeah. So look before you leap.
A person, particular form of God from childhood. However, at the time of initiation, the Guru gives him a mantra of another form of God avatar to consider as Ishta. Can the person now consider his childhood preferred form of God along with the Guru-given form as Ishta? Yeah, these are questions for the disciple to ask the Guru directly. But in general, we look upon Sri Ramakrishna as Sarva Deva Devi Swarupa. So that he's the embodiment of all the different gods and goddesses. But in terms of, it's a real question, in terms of doing some separate type of worship or even what we imagine and everything, these are personal things. There are some gurus who will even say, and give a different mantra, add something, or else they say, no, merge it in Sri Ramakrishna or Holy. So these have to be discussed with the guru directly.
What is the significance of visiting pilgrimage places? Yeah, the belief is that there is a greater manifestation of the divine in certain places than in others. And these places have been associated with the life and actions of great holy persons, holy people, saints and mystics. So when we go there, and if our hearts are receptive, we are sure to feel a certain holiness in that place, a certain inspiration, get an inspiration. It doesn't mean that God is of course equally present everywhere, but in some places it is more accessible. It is more accessible. For that matter, just the other day we were reading in the Gospel where, who was it? He wants to go on pilgrimage.
One of the brothers.
Yeah, Mukherjee. Yeah. One of the Mukherjee brothers. He wants to go on pilgrimage. He has just started visiting Sri Ramakrishna. No, it was not the Mukherjee. Not one of them. It is the, and Sri Ramakrishna asked him, should you go now? These spiritual ideas are just taking root. Should you go now? So he implies that the person stays where he is and keeps coming to Sri Ramakrishna. And then he says, if you don't have it here, you won't see it, you won't find it there. If you don't have it here, you won't find it there. That is also, there are two opinions to everything.
Yeah, so many of the songs, Ram Prasad songs and other songs, why go to Gaya Ganga, Prabhasadi and everything. Yeah, just repeat the name of Durga. And during Sri Ramakrishna's time, I think it was because he knew he was the greatest Tirthasthan. And for his disciples even to miss that opportunity to be with him, he won't be there forever, is to miss a lot. Otherwise, going on pilgrimage is very inspiring. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to do.
Just now, a couple of days ago, one of my very close friends, is visiting Assisi.
Uh-huh.
He's a Hindu. He has no Christian background. He doesn't know Francis's life and all. But he says, this place is different. This place is different. And there he says, you can feel Francis of Assisi's message of peace and universal goodness, something like that. Yeah.
Is yours?
After you.
Okay. In the two birds on the tree example, me being the lower bird refuses to look unto the higher bird. What is the way out? Yeah, most people don't. Most people are content just eating sweet fruit and accepting bitter fruit as part of life. This is a little bit what we call grace. If something jolts us so that we look for something higher, we look for something else. But it won't necessarily happen with everybody. We generally have two options. One, we have to suffer in this world. Or two, we see the example of holy company. Well, let me change it. Three things. Or we see other people suffer, and we learn from them. Or the holy company. Holy company is the best, of course. Yeah, if we can be intelligent and not have to suffer ourselves, but see, oh, I see, this person is always miserable. They're running after money and enjoyment all the time. They're never happy. If we can learn from that, then of course, better. Otherwise, we have to suffer ourselves. But with this holy company, yeah, then we see that this is someone in touch with that higher bird, or realize oneness with that higher bird, and how joyful they are, that we would like to be like that. Yeah. Discernment. Yeah, this is part of that. Yes.
If Sri Ramakrishna had lived during the time of Kamsa or some other extremely cruel and exceptionally oppressive ruler who caused widespread despair, what would he have said or done? What would Ma have said or done? Yeah, but Sri Ramakrishna has already answered it. He who was Rama and he who was Krishna is now Sri Ramakrishna. Yeah, and also we don't know. We don't know how the influence of an incarnation of God works. We have no idea of those things.
There were atrocities during his time with the British and everything. We remember Holy Mother, that one incident. There was one pregnant woman who was grabbed by the police and everything. So there are always atrocities. Sometimes Thakur would simply say, who can understand this mother's play? Yeah.
Thakur's father himself was thrown out of the village. What did Thakur do when he became? You can ask such questions, but
how do you deal with the mayas of life? Yeah, we have two mayas here. Huh? yeah, and they're both very sweet and loving. Yeah. If by Maya we mean attachment. See, Maya has a deep philosophical meaning and it has a very practical meaning. If by Maya we mean attachment, then Sri Ramakrishna says that expand it. If the problem with Maya is that it's very restrictive and binding. If we love our near and dear ones, it means to the exclusion of others. So if we can expand it and turn it into what he said, daya, he makes that Maya daya distinction, then we can feel that love for all beings. Plus, there's a whole idea of what Thakur calls aropkara, this have a relationship with God, take that feeling of love for your near and dear ones and superimpose that on God. We know what it means to love our own mother, then take that love of the mother and transfer that to love of God, or the mother to a child. So we can utilize it. and Sri Ramakrishna talks about, see, everything we do in spiritual practice belongs to Maya. That means a relative universe. So he makes a very important distinction between this Vidyamaya and Avidyamaya. So that there'll be certain things that we do within this relative universe, thinking ourselves to be individuals and everything, that will help relieve this bondage and everything. It will take us higher. Other things will bind us more to the world. So we utilize it. It says this ego itself is Maya. So we utilize this sense of I, but we give it a twist. And we form a spiritual relationship, think of ourselves in spiritual terms. Then it can really be something helpful even, is Maya. Oh, now you're picking and choosing. No. No, your turn.
Do all or most Swamis attain Jivan Mukti, or do they also struggle? Most Swamis, if you ask me, have no hope of Jivan Mukti. Yeah. No. No, my weakness should not make you strong. You should be strong. Yeah, it is Jivan Mukti and all is not. It is not so easy. We are still struggling against our own minds. That is the real story. Otherwise, why should they say that the life of a spiritual aspirant is like walking on the edge of a razor? It is not like Jivan Mukti is like driving on the Autobahn. Yeah, my question is done.
Yeah. No, that's why out of 100,000 kites, at best, but one breaks free. You know, that song and everything. So it's a very, but that doesn't mean that we won't get that ultimate experience at the time of death. Holy Mother makes that distinction also. We should have that type of faith. But whether a sadhu or whether a householder, the odds aren't too much different. They're not very good. Yeah. For me, please explain Chit in Satchidananda. Yeah. Actually, this is the most important element. If we think of Brahman, it's consciousness. And the Sat of Brahman really is consciousness. Like for an individual, what is my existence? My existence is not as a physical being. My existence is as a conscious being. So we can say the same thing with the Brahman. And because of that consciousness, some ultimate feeling of freedom and joy is there. So this chid aspect, this conscious aspect, is really essential to what we call the nature of Brahman or God.
Please speak about how to know Dharma. The mind gets different ideas, and the concept of right and wrong is not clear. Depends on where perspective is. The root meaning of the word dharma is that which the essential nature of a thing that holds it together. The essential nature of a thing that holds it together. So all other meanings, there are three or four other meanings of dharma. Dharma can mean virtue, dharma can mean a religion, dharma can mean duty. But the essential meaning is, Swamiji says, whatever makes it easy for a being to manifest its divinity, that is its dharma. that is its dharma. So, whatever makes it easy for a soul to manifest its divinity, that is its true dharma. That is why when you think about this varnashrama dharma, it is all given the nature of people, what would be the easiest way for them at their different levels to progress towards the divine. That is I think, the essential meaning of dharma. Even that is why, if my duty allows me to do that, then that is my dharma. That is why it is called swadharma. Swadharma is not that to which I am born nowadays. Not that. That which is true to my being, that is my swadharma.
How to deal with adult children, if adult children ignore their parents, what is the spiritual way to think of this? Yeah, if they're adults, then of course it's not too much. we can try, of course, to talk to them, set the example, but yeah, if they're adults, they'll pretty much do what they want to do, and we have to kind of accept it and live with it, and not stop loving them for who and what they are. Yeah, whatever we can, but they're at that point they're on their own. Huh? They've left the nest. There's not too much that can be done. I think just to be accepting and loving and try to set an example. Generally, even for small children, setting the example is the most important thing. Yeah.
So there was one more. And the concept of right and wrong is not clear. Depends on where the perspective is. See, as human beings, it is easy to get the perspective right if we always remember what Sri Ramakrishna said, and also the scriptures have said, that self-realization or God-realization, manifestation of this innate divinity, if that is the goal, then that is the purpose. That is the only purpose of human life. If we can fix that in our hearts and live and act according to that, then you can be fairly sure that whatever you do will be right. Yeah, we may make mistakes, but we will know it when we make those mistakes.
How does one find one's purpose? As Bhagavad Gita refers to swadharma. Can you elaborate on the process to find one's purpose and attain fulfillment? Yeah, in the earlier, olden times, it wasn't much of a question. We were born into a certain family. The girls knew that their dharma would be to get married and be a mother, and the sons would do what the father did. There would be, the caste system was very strong, and there was a belief that one was not born into that family by accident. One was born into that family and that caste because of samskaras. So there was some consistency to that belief. It wasn't just a completely random thing. Oh, really, I'm fit to be a priest, but I'm born into a family of kshatriyas. I have to join the army and I have to fight. It doesn't suit me at all. Theoretically, that wasn't supposed to happen. And now, we know that people from all different castes are born with all different qualities, and some warriors will become politicians, and some will be doctors. All sorts of things can happen. So we can't really rely on that anymore. So what do? This is really a case of a little bit of just self-analysis, a little bit of very deep observation of what it is that brings some feeling of satisfaction and joy to us. This is mostly for young people, yeah. That very often they'll feel compelled to follow something because the parents want it, or because of peer pressure and everything. Some know very clearly they have a dream and they follow that dream. And some have to really go against everything in the family. Look at those who become sadhus. Yeah. So those people who find that and can live according to that are very fortunate. Some people, they'll just do what's convenient. They'll pick a career that will give them a good standard of living and to be willing to do a job that they don't really like until it's time for retirement, that they can enjoy themselves. But this is just the way the world is nowadays. Those who are a little bold and say, I don't really care what other people think, this is really something that I feel some passion for, then of course, if they have that boldness and they won't get into much trouble, they should follow their dream. This is my feeling. I always tell these young kids, yeah, follow your dream. This, why not to be a little bold in this lifetime? Yeah, I think as sadhus we know that there'll be criticism, there'll be people who don't appreciate it, there'll be disappointment and everything. But if we feel that this is the life that we're meant to follow, then we have to do it, that's all.
Isn't Dharma supposed to protect you also? Dharma, Rakshati.
Yeah, the Dharma is supposed to protect us, yeah.
Follow your Dharma as a daughter, for instance. A daughter,
Yeah.
if I follow those,
Yeah, I think, yeah.
protects me.
No, we have to be sensible. We have to be sensible also. I mean, unfortunately, in this country, we have thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of young men who don't study and all because they want to be professional basketball players. They're not Jade. No, no, but I'm just saying, we have to be realistic. There should be a fallback plan, and yeah, okay, forget our best, say football players. Yeah, no. She has a grandson who's a good basketball player. Yeah, but most, they're sacrificing a decent future for a dream that's not realizable. Yeah, that's not a realistic type of dream. So we have to do both. We have to be dreamers, but also be a little realistic.
I'd like to come to this question about dharma one last time. I know I know that I haven't been articulate enough. The answer is not adequate, I feel it. But I can show you there is a translation of the Bhagavad Gita by Nikhilanandaji. And there is a certain place right in the beginning where he gives all these four meanings of the word dharma and explains them in a very brief but comprehensive way. I'd like the questioner to go to that book and find the answer. It's a beautiful passage.
We have it in the book.
Yes.
But I thought your answer was good.
No, but the Nikhilanandaji's is
better.
100 times better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and one last question that is.
Oh, last question.
Oh, yeah. How does one get rid of lust? Okay, yeah. There's some things that passions that come along with being a human being, and lust especially. They say really that this. When do we know someone is free from lust? You know what they say.
When they die.
Yeah. They say puri deho ure chai. When the body is burned up and the ashes are flying in the air, then you can be sure that they're free from lust. So we have to try to just we recognize that we belong to the animal kingdom on one level also. That the animal kingdom that this procreation is necessary for survival of the species, and we also have that within us. But we have to learn some type of self-control, and I think the most important thing is what Thakur recommends, really. He says, keep yourself in a safe environment. Don't keep exposing yourselves to things that will excite the senses and passions and everything. And devote the mind to God. Do spiritual practice. This is the best answer for almost everything. Yeah, do a spiritual practice, pray. Many of the direct disciples went to Sri Ramakrishna and said, we have this problem with lust. So no one should think that this is just themselves. This is a common thing that people have to do. Sadhus, of course, have to deal with this and everything. So all of the other passions, lust is the one that is the basis of all of them. This is the root of all this kama. Is all of the other passions stem from this. If we can be free from this, then we're more or less on safe ground. But no one should ever think that they're free from temptation or anything. So this is, this is that question. Okay, so I think we can stop here. Yeah, it's 5:30. We have now's the chance just to walk around, relax. If you wanted another cup of tea, you can go to the basement. But we have our Arati at 6:30, and then I hope you can stay for the music concert. That'll start at 7:30, and then tomorrow we will begin. Oh, and after the music concert, again, food. Yeah. So, yeah. So you can stay for that, and then tomorrow. Of course, those who really want to come, make a whole weekend retreat, we have our meditation. The shrine opens at 5. And we have morning worship 7:30. Breakfast is at 9 o'clock, and the first session tomorrow is 9:45. Okay? And then we'll get to hear Pravratika Prabhupada Pranaji and Dr. Jeffrey Long. They'll do the panel discussion. And we'll have lunch and devotional singing, and then the final session from 2 to 3 tomorrow, Maharaj will conclude, and also there'll be a chance for more question and answers with Swamiji, and then that'll be the close of the retreat. So I hope you're all enjoying it. It's, so far it's been really a very nice retreat. I feel it informal and casual, and I don't like things too formal. Yeah.
Swamiji, one question I had was like Thakur said that after God realization is when spiritual life starts, and like Swamiji also said today that after you are dissociating your mind from yourself, mind and body, then you really spiritual life begins. So Swamiji.
No, forget about that. For us, this is spiritual life. For us, this is spiritual life. It may not be the highest, of course, but as long as we're striving and we're doing spiritual practice, then we're leading a spiritual life to the best of our ability, that's all. Yeah, Brahmana said that after Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That doesn't apply to, we can't base it on that.
That is life in the spirit.
Yeah.
This is spiritual life.
Yeah. So as long as we really feel that the goal of life is something more than just enjoyment. There's something to be attained in this life, and we've made a commitment to follow it, to do some spiritual practice, then we can say we're leading a spiritual life to the extent that we can. That's all. Yeah.
But if somebody can, I don't know if it is proper, I would like to show the person that book and the place where this Dharma.
Okay.
No, the book. No, he can
No,
take
he
it.
wants to know who was the person who wrote it, if that person wants to remain anonymous. Or else you can just, we can just read it out tomorrow.
No, I'll just place it outside.
Okay.